What's crackalackin' everyone, Luxsense here, your coach of the Hangzhou Sparkling Aria, and today I'm here for my final week of the UPBA, facing off against Wolf for Wolf. You're currently 8-0, we're looking to go 9-0 of course. Yeah, it was a really cool game. This game actually got showcased on Monday Night Mons, because I sent over the video because they needed games and stuff like that. So, you might have already seen this game over there. Highly recommend checking out their show as well, because they do it every Monday, as it says, Monday Night Mons. So, go check them out over there. Really cool. They have commentators and everything, and they do like real, quote-unquote, professional. I guess it's more professional than like me doing it. So, if you're interested in that, I highly recommend you check that out. Great content, it's really funny. So, I was actually on last week as well. Not to brag, but I feel like I did a good job. And well, let's just get right into this game. So, as you can see, I did bring the Sudowoodo. I actually felt like it had a pretty solid matchup versus Wolf, seeing as his bulk mainly consisted of the Slowbro, the Torkoal, the P2, the Grimmsnarl, all of which Sudowoodo can power through with Bandit Head Smash or Bandit Wood Hammer or anything of the sorts. So, I did really like Sudowoodo here, unironically. G-Slowking, very nice here. Shukaberry, it lives a Dharm Earthquake, so I can potentially bait that. I can live Earth Power from Lando, so I could potentially bait that. If Mienshao is here for Lando as well, I can knock it off, hopefully get rid of a Life Orb, be able to take those hits a little bit better, fake it out in case it's like a Rock Polish set, stuff like that. Only issue is obviously if it's Earthquake. I have a Shukadialga, which was the bottom Pokemon as well, just because Landorus is a threat. I need to respect it. I don't have the best switch-ins to it, obviously, so Mienshao, like I have Mienshao, but it's not the greatest, especially not if he's like Knock or something like that. He does end up leading with the Dead as I leave with my Tapu Fini, which is, as you saw, was eject button. The logical scenario in my mind was that Dharm would be the lead, because the only lead it would really dislike is Mienshao, and Wolf has a Slowbro, so I figured that was a pretty safe lead for him if he wanted to do that. So on to eject button with the Fini on a U-turn potentially, get in this Sudowoodo and just be able to head smash through. And I do have the Choice Scarf Zapdos as well, which is physical. As I didn't want to risk missing Hurricanes versus the Landorus, that would be incredibly bad. Heat Wave doesn't do enough damage. Brave actually did do quite a good chunk, like 60%-ish. So I felt that was a nice mid-ground. It was also nice for Scarf Dharm potentially being able to outspeed that, get a huge bit of chip on that. Or well, chip, I say a huge chunk out of the health, really. So I do end up switching out here for my Fini into my G-Slowking. Fini can't really do much to my G-Slowking. So, like, it can Nature's Madness, but that doesn't really do anything, and it does just give me an opportunity to click Sludge Bomb or Ice Beam or anything that I want, really. So I have a quick look at this team here, and I decide that I just want to Sludge Bomb. There's no reason for me not to make that play. I don't need to slack off, because more than likely the P2 comes in. I don't see the Landorus coming in on a Sludge Bomb, taking unnecessary chip, potential poison, etc, etc. So P2 seems like the most likely option, probably especially defensive P2, because his team does kind of struggle with Zapdos a bit. And obviously he does trace the Regenerator. A little annoying, but fine to me. So, this game is actually going to be quite long, because, as you can see, there's a Trace P2 that copies Regenerator, and there's Ditto that can also copy Regenerator. So, and he also already has a Slowbro, which has Regenerator. I obviously have my G-Slowking and my Mienshao, so it is just a bit of a back and forth here and there, just trying to outposition each other with that. So I end up deciding to go into the Mienshao here. There's terrain up, so Tri Attack or Ice Beam or anything cannot status me or anything of the sorts. If he teleports, I can scout what he goes into. I can fake out a copied Mienshao. I can knock off a Landorus G-Dharm. I can just switch out into Fini and potentially get the sequence that I want to get earlier. And if not, then I can just bait out whatever I feel like. So he does take a bit to decide on what he wants to bring out here, but I do think that he ends up deciding on the Ditto, just to scout what moves I have and stuff like that. As this is essentially how the game goes for a large portion. It's just he copies my regen mons or regenerator mons. I go out into my regenerator mons because they do well against myself. So not really any reason for why or anything. It's just, oh well, sick. So I debate going out into Fini here, as my Mienshao has nothing to touch me, and I would be able to go out into something that could punish Mienshao, but I felt like preserving the eject button was better for any potential other scenario. Fake out is a free play. If he goes for fake out himself, he pretty early has to reveal pretty early whether he's a choice locked Ditto or not, or at least bluff it. Because if he fake outs and then I stay in and click CC, then that's kind of awkward for him. So he does end up switching here into the Slowbro as I go into my Fini, thinking that while the eject button is nice for sequencing. My apologies, I had to yawn. While the eject button is nice for sequencing, it's not entirely necessary, so I do end up deciding to taunt here. I don't want to Slowbro to set up Calm Minds or Iron Defenses or Toxic my Fini or anything of that sort. Not letting it teleport for free, also a very big deal in my opinion. So I just go for that, and if he attacks me, then I just get free momentum off of that. I just go into my Zapdos, click U-turn, do all that type of stuff. So, or go into my G-Slogan for that matter, because G-Slogan also punishes the hell out of this. So as I said, I do go for the taunt here, as... Okay, something that also did not help in this game is that both Wolf and I took like 9 years for every turn. So, if I'm not taking 9 years, he's taking 9 years, and if he's not taking 9 years, I'm taking 9 years. So, I think both of us end up with a timer below a minute. So, you're in for a long one on this game. But that does make it quite interesting, I say. So, as I said, it takes a bit, but we do end up going for the taunt here, as the Slowbro can now not use any sort of status moves, but he does go for the Psychic. So, judging from his damage, he was not very offensive, so I wasn't expecting a Trick Room Slowbro or anything of that sort. Calm Mind could still be an option, but Iron Defense, Weakness Policy, Shenanigans were out of the picture for me pretty much. Psychic also means that he's more worried about stuff like the Fini and the Mienshao, rather than having Scald for stuff like Dialga to punish it with a burn and stuff like that. So I do end up going for U-turn as the Slowbro switches out, and he goes into the P2, which is completely fine by me. I've been saying a lot, I need to stop that, but the Zapdos, god damn it, okay. The Zapdos uses U-turn here, obviously, and then I got into Dialga, I am pretty sure, since I want to scout out what he would want, what he would do, versus this versus this Dialga. So I got into Dialga, but I'm pretty sure I immediately double back out into the Zapdos, seeing as rocks are pretty useful here. However, I didn't want him to copy my Dialga with Ditto and get rocks up himself. So I want to make a play to mitigate that, or at least not allow him to do so. I believe I just got out into either the Fini or the Zapdos, but I think I lean towards the Zapdos. Seeing as he shouldn't go for an attacking move here, it does not do anything against my Dialga. The only bad thing is, if I had a sub, then this Ditto wouldn't be able to copy me, of course. But I felt like Zapdos was the safest play here. As I do switch out my Dialga, get in the Zapdos, and the Porygon 2 uses Teleport, which is completely fine by me. I don't really mind this too much. And I think right now the Landorus comes out, if I recall correctly at least. So, yeah, this has to be when the Landorus comes out. So, when this Landorus comes out, I started thinking about what I want to do, and obviously Mienshao looks like the obvious play, but if he's some sort of physical set, then Mienshao does not want to take hits from that. So I decided that I could also U-turn or Brave Bird here to scout out this play, but I figured that this Mienshao is here for the Landorus. Even if he is physical, I think that's probably better for me, because at that point I can just pivot around and stuff like that. And I do have my double Shuka that both have ice moves that can bait. So Landorus does end up going for a Rock Slide here, and this damage led me to believe that he was not very attack invested, but he was Life Orb. So that was pretty good for me, I'd say. I didn't have to worry about that too much. As right here, I am pretty sure I just go for the knockoff, seeing as there's no reason not to. Knock will make it so that the Landorus do a lot less damage, seeing as I already scouted for Life Orb. It would also cover the Slowbro play, obviously, and we do reveal the Culver here, which is completely fine by me. Now, Culver goes away, I get the knock damage off, I just go for a U-turn, which does decent damage if I recall correctly, so I felt like that was pretty safe, knowing that he's Culver, and Culver also led me to believe that he would likely be Scald Slack off Teleport. I didn't really see any reason for him to run Culver on like an Iron Defense set or a Calm Mind set. Calm Mind could work for Weavile, which he likely also wants Body Press for, with the Psychic on him as well. So I was starting to think like, oh, this could be like Psychic Body Press, Slack off Teleport as like a Weavile lure or something like that. And he does end up going for the Teleport here, which is completely fine by me. I don't really care. As I think he goes out into the Ditto, yes. So he goes out into the Ditto here, which is completely fine by me. He will now be realizing that he cannot touch my Glow King, which is very nice. Seeing as I am Sludge Bomb Ice Beam, and I have Calm and Slack off. I will have more PP than him. I will win a Stall War or a Setup War if it comes down to that. So I just go for the Sludge Bomb here. It's a neutral play. If he likes to set up the +1, that's fine. My G-Slowking, funnily enough, can't really touch my Mienshao well, and I would just be able to knock off U-turn, fake out, all that good stuff onto this. I would still have my Sudowoodo that is faster than my own G-Slowking and is able to just head smash. If he goes for attack, it would likely be Ice Beam, which I don't really fear with G-Slowking. Freeze is annoying, but it's not the worst thing in the world. But I do just go for the Sludge Bomb here, as he goes into the Grimmsnarl, probably trying to call out a Calm Mind or an Ice Beam play. But I figured that there was no reason for him to stay in, and Sludge Bomb was better against everything that wasn't the Landorus, and you wouldn't go hard Landorus when you know I have Ice Beam. So Sludge Bomb was the safe play in my opinion, and I do get massively rewarded for that by catching this Grimmsnarl on that. So right now, what I did want to do is scout out what type of set this Grimmsnarl was, seeing as Banded could kill my G-Slowking from this range. So even Max Attack had a roll to kill G-Slowking. Maybe it killed always. I don't remember the exact percentage I was on. I just knew that from full I always lift a Darkest Lariat from Max Attack. So I just got into my Feeny. Darkest Lariat is a very free play for him here, so there's no reason for me to fuck around with that or anything. As I do end up taking a Darkest Lariat, which does a sizable chunk of damage, I thought, and then I figured out that it was a crit. So From that damage alone, I already knew, alright, this is not gonna be a threat to my G-Slowking. It might do some damage, but it's not gonna kill with Darkest Lariat. It's not banded or anything like that, and that's the important part. So, right here, I decide that I want to go out into the Sudowoodo. Now, Spirit Break is a very free play here, I'd say, if you want to just sack the Grimmsnarl. And other than that, P2 feels likely to come in on this. Unfortunately, he does go into the Ditto, which is annoying for me, as this Ditto is going to copy my Feeny, which has a water move, and I am sending out my tree, which does not like water. Probably one of the few trees in the world that absolutely despises it. So, that's a little annoying, but we do have an entire G-Slowking to just go back out into, with essentially no drawback whatsoever, I'd say. So, I switch out my Sudowoodo here into the G-Slowking, as the Tapu Fini just goes for Surf here. I absolutely don't mind a little bit of damage, but I just go for the Sludge Bomb here, I'm pretty sure. There's no reason for me not to make the Sludge Bomb call here. As I mentioned, P2 is likely to come in. Yes, it'll trace the Regenerator, but 2 Sludge Bombs do more than Regenerator does anyway. If he wants to recover, that's probably better for me as well. So, I believe I do just end up going for the Sludge Bomb here. Yes, get a nice little crit. Can't poison, unfortunately, because of the terrain, but that's fine. As right now, I just go for Sludge Bomb again, I'm pretty sure. He either recovers here or he teleports, and forcing him to, or conditioning him into recovering would be good, and if he teleports, then I just get free momentum essentially against any of his mods, because this is the only thing that wants to be out against everything except the P2, because P2 is annoying, but he does end up opting for teleport, as I opt for the Mienshao, since it's a safer play overall. The train is up, as I mentioned, so kind of same reasoning applies as before. I do think I could have Sludge Bombed there if I wanted, but it doesn't really matter too much. Let's go back out into the Ditto. Once again, copying my Mienshao, and right here, I just go for a Fake Out again. There's no drawback to clicking Fake Out here, so I thought it was a fine play. I debate U-turn. Maybe I click U-turn. That could also be the case. But I debate whether I click U-turn or Fake Out at least. So, just wanted to see what this guy would do. I didn't think he would just go hard for a CC, seeing as there's no reason for him to. As he does reveal that he goes for Fake Out, which leads me to believe that he's not going to be any sort of choice set, and that he likely wants to CC right here. Because if you're some type of choice set, then you're not going for Fake Out. You're not going to let me get free positioning that way. You want to Fake Out, you want to CC afterwards, I feel. And he does, in fact, CC into my Zapdos, which does take a bit of damage because I'm not too defensive. And right here, I think I literally just clicked Breakbird, since I wanted to get damage on either the P2 or just kind of or get a kill on this. I didn't really see what else would come in. I guess the Slowbro could, but if you're not aware that I'm physical, then you wouldn't bring out the Slowbro. So, Breakbird feels like a pretty free play here, in my opinion. It doesn't do too much damage to this P2. Does a decent enough chunk, I'd say. Brings it down nearly to half. It doesn't give it the regen as well, which is good. And it allows me to just bring in G-Slowking, because this P2 doesn't touch G-Slowking. Doesn't matter what it has, it just doesn't. Even like a Shadow Ball or something like that wouldn't do a lot, as he does go for the teleport here. Now, This is where I think in Monday Night Mons, in their commentary, they said, "Alright, someone needs to make a play here," or some shit like that, right? So, me already having had the game happen knows exactly what's about to happen as he brings in the Grimmsnarl, and I decide, fuck it, I'm staying in here. Nothing barring a crit should kill my G Slowking. He might not even click Darkest Lariat because I went Feeny last time, and clicking Darkest Lariat into Feeny honestly is the worst play because you still get good chip, but a Spirit Break or a Play Rough will just straight up bring it into Darm range, like unboosted Darm range. Assuming he's not a like Guerrilla Tactics Darm. I want to keep it out of Darm range, so I'm just gonna stay in. He goes for Spirit Break, but that does no damage, and we get a kill on the Grimmsnarl. So really nice for me, obviously. That I feel like I had the positioning to be able to make that play and make that call as well. I had enough pieces still to be able to win the game, even if this goes down. I don't know why I have to yawn so much today. Anyhow, this hugely swung the momentum into my favor, seeing as his main breaker for this Slowking is now gone. It doesn't exist anymore. So he goes into the land out, not knowing that I have Shuka, obviously. And I just go for an Ice Beam here. Now, I don't know what Wolf's focus or what his nature was or anything like that. But depending on that, this Ice Beam could have killed if it wasn't, and it definitely would have if it wasn't for a Spirit Break. So, his Spirit Break ended up helping him out a good amount, I'd say, because he gets to keep his Landers. As I do a massive chunk of damage, which is really good for me. So, I just get to go Mienshao, get to click U-turn, because this is in U-turn range at this point, and get free momentum onto whatever I feel like. Or whatever he feels like sending out, rather. I think he debates here whether he wants to Earth Power or Rock Slide, predicting an incoming Zapdos or something like that. However, I just decided to go out to Mienshao. It's AV, it'll take any hit, so barring Psychic, obviously, but there's no reason for someone to bring Psychic against this team with a Landor's Eye. So, I just go for the U-turn. It gives me free momentum. Regen at this point will also bring me out of Landor's range once again, so it is a completely free play. I just go for the U-turn here, as he goes into Slowbro. Here I make a bit of a bad play, I'd say, but it works out in the end. So, it doesn't matter. And I feel like that bad play is going Sudowoodo here. I think what I should have done is go Zapdos, click U-turn, then go Sudowoodo on a Porygon 2. That would have been an infinitely better sequence plays. Because at that point, the Slowbro can't switch into take 2 head smashes, the Porygon 2 will die to a head smash, and I just get a free head smash on shit. However, I decide, fuck it, I have a Wood Hammer on the Sudowoodo, I want to click it now too. So, if he was Body Press or Scald or something like that, I feel like if you click it here, my Sudowoodo just kind of dies. You could potentially see this as well as weakness policy baiting. So I completely understand not wanting to click those as well. However, I do just end up being the Choice Bandit set, and I'm just going to Wood Hammer this Slowbro right about now, maybe? I don't feel like this cinematic goes on for much longer. Anyhow, it does, and we Wood Hammer here, as I mentioned. So, Wood Hammer brings the Slowbro to like 1 HP, which is really annoying. Psychic 2-shotting, which is also slightly annoying. Less annoying though, as I can just click Wood Hammer once again. This mod is just going to click a button against Wolf's entire team, and he does not have a switch into it right now. He could switch into Ditto, which would get Wood Hammered and dies. He could switch into the P2 and hope he outspeeds, which is probably his best bet. or he could go into the Landorus and sack that, or sack this. So there really isn't a scenario in which Wolf doesn't lose a Pokemon here, which is good for me. So he goes into the Porygon 2, just a little bit of chip on it, as I mentioned, which now gets Wood Hammered into Oblivion. Does over half the remaining health that Porygon 2 has. I just click Wood Hammer again. There's no reason for me not to go for the play. I put in speed for this Porygon 2 specifically, and we do actually end up outspeeding it, which is very nice. And goodbye Porygon 2. The Slowbro Porygon 2 core that people have said was very good ends up getting destroyed by a fake tree. Very nice. So, the only bad part about this is now he can just go back out into his Landorus, which is very annoying. As I just about have my Mienshao out of range of the Earth Power. I think Earth Power, like, max with Modest did like 98 points of health, and I was on 102. So I'm really playing with my fucking life here with this Mienshao. But it is out of range, so I felt safe enough going out into that right here. And I just go out into that, yeah. No reason not to. Dedicated Lando check. And right here, I think he does go for the Earth Power. As I live, thank you, on 12 HP. So, I just go for a U-turn again. I want to get my regen back up. This thing dies to a U-turn. He has to go like Slowbro or something to pivot into that. Or go Ditto, which even better for me. So he goes out into the Ditto, ends up transforming into my Mienshao, and I just get to U-turn on this and go out into my Zapdos, which is very nice. Because this Zapdos, quite frankly, just kind of sits there and clicks Brave Bird because it's Scarfed. At this point, he doesn't know that I'm Scarfed, he just knows that I have Brave Bird on my Zapdos. So there really is no reason for me not to click it. If he goes into the Lando, that dies. He can't go into the Slowbro right now, because that would just sack a Slowbro. He can go into G-Darm right now, but then he gets to it KO'd, so really isn't a good play for him right there. As right now, I do think he goes into the Slowbro, because his remaining ones are the Slowbro, the Lando, and the G-Darm. G-Darm hasn't come out yet, so I could stay in here, but Brave Bird to a Slowbro from his Zapdos is like nothing. So I just go out into my Dialga. There's no reason for me not to go out into that, in my opinion. I don't really care about whatever this Slowbro wants to do, so the Slowbro clicks Teleport. Now this is a very obvious Lando for me, and I already have made the decision that I want Rocks up, I want to limit this Darm, and I want to make sure that this Lando does not do anything too bad to my team. So I get Rocks up here. If the Lando switches out, he can't come in. If the Darm comes in, it's taking 25%, unless it's Boots, which if it is Boots, then I just win because my Mienshao outspeeds my G-Darm, or my Zapdos outspeeds. I'll be fine against the Boots, is what I'm trying to say. So, we do get the Rocks up. Landorus goes for the Earth Power, breaking Shuka. I just go for the Ice Beam again. I could have, what's it called? He could have Earth Powered me again to just kill my Dialga, but I feel like Rocks was a good play here from him. So Landorus dies to the Ice Beam, as right now it finally comes in. The Galarian Darmanitan Spiegelei. Or I guess in German it would be Spiegelei? I don't know. Or Austrian. I don't know what language exactly he speaks. I just know he lives in Austria, I think. I think I say as well. I know he lives there, I think, yeah. So This thing goes for the Earthquake. Completely fine by me. Gets a crit, doesn't matter. As I could just bring out my Zapdos. I know that even if he's Scarfed, I can just go into Zapdos, click Brave Bird and kill, or at least bring it into range of whatever else. However, if I click Brave Bird, I only have essentially one. I can only click Brave Bird once in that sense. So actually go into Zapdos and debate whether I want to click Thunderbolt. Thunderbolt is also a good play. In my opinion, doesn't have a recoil. It should bring any Darm set that wants to be like Belly Drum or something like that out of range to Belly Drum, which is good. It just about brings him into the Salic range, which is a little annoying. But for the most part, that should be fine because he's out of sub range, which is the important part. Does miss an Icicle Crash, which is obviously a bit annoying for him. But right now he does outspeed. He's +1. He's the Zen mode version right now. And I think he just goes for Icicle Crash again, as I just go for Thunderbolt again. So my reasoning for that as well, if I go for Brave Bird or Wild Charge, the Slowbro comes in, I take recoil, and then it becomes a lot harder to kill this Darm. Especially if it gets up like a sub or something like that. Because I also have to account for Scarf Darm endgame still. Which, at this point, my team's kind of weak too. So, I want to make sure that I would be able to beat that. And right here, I could have gone for like Fake Out, Cycle, and whatever, but that's not fun. So I went out into Sudowoodo. So I could just Sucker Punch here. Listen, he could have stalled me out with Substitute, which didn't do anything, by the way, because he doesn't have enough health. He could have just stalled me out with that. And then I would have to go like G-Slowking, click Fake Out Minchow, or just go Feeny, because Feeny lives any hit right now. But he let me get the kill with the Sudowoodo like a true champ. Really appreciate that, so shout out to you, Wolf. And I can't believe I haven't said this yet, but go check him out in the description below. He makes way better videos than I do. I'm so stupid. Anyhow, he goes into the Slowbro, takes a bit of chip from the rocks as I go out into my Feeny. Now, Feeny at this point gets KO'd by Psychic, but the nice thing that Feeny does is it can taunt the Slowbro, not allowing it to go for a Slack Off, and if he does go for a Slack Off right now, then I can taunt into Nature's Madness and bring it back down to half. So, goes for the Psychic, doesn't do too much. Well, it does do a bit. It obviously took KOs from that range. But I can just go for a taunt, which stops him from doing any shenanigans and stuff like that. Goes for a final Psychic here, as this Slowbro is now in range of a certain someone, and that someone is called Lancer, the Sudowoodo. I think this did like 63 min or 62 min with Hammer. And on the previous attempt, he was on like 67 or some shit. Now he's definitely below like 63. He's at like 55, maybe 60. But Woodhammer will kill this from this range. So we hit him with the last fat hammer. I still hate that that's just a hammer, not just a tree. But we do kill the Slowbro, and we do go 9-0 to finish off the regular season of the UPBA. Now, I already have matchups. I've already played my round 1. And we do actually play Badass Frostlass, the 8th seed. So, I hope you're looking forward to that. That will be out next week. And I will see you guys next time. And check out Wolf in the description down below. Check out Jack in the description down below. This league has been very fun. So, please go support the people behind it and support my opponent as well. Peace out.